Hey,
Hey Stephanie, how are you?
hey, how are you?
I am a-okay, thank you. Oh my God, this show. Hmm. I uh I barreled through this thing so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little late to it. It was like I had heard there were a couple other people that are really big fans of the site or a fan of the show and everything about it. I love Jonathan Tropper, I love John Hamm on multiple levels. It's he's such a such a dreamboat, but also really knows how to play these really complicated asshole,
Yeah,
charming people. It's a really sort of and Amanda Peet, my God, Amanda Peet. Um,
I know, right?
she's fucking great in this.
So good.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh my gosh, thanks for
Um, of course. So you have episodes 6, 7, and 8.
yeah.
I feel like you are in a very I don't know, when I finished episode 5, and I was just like, you are in a very great place to, Coop discovers Paul's body. Like, this is the first time we come back to it after the opening.
Mhm.
He decided at first we didn't know it was Sam's house, and now we know it is Sam's house, after we learn about their relationship. I don't know. I kind of don't want to be like, you have, I'm glad you also have 3 episodes like all back to back. That's really great.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess I wanted to know, reading the scripts, especially for these 3 episodes. I don't know. It felt like, at least for a viewer, it's a sort of very like exciting precipice for you. So I guess I wanted to know. You get to kind of like tilt the narrative of the story a little bit, and I guess I wanted to know, in a general sense, what was exciting about that.
I mean, I think I approached my 3 episodes almost like a trilogy, if you were.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because as you said, like it sort of tilts, and I was like, oh, all right. So I get to show, what not exactly what happened, of course, but I get to we get to go off to Princeton with Mel and Coop
Hmm.
and see, why they them as a couple and maybe remember or know for the first time as an audience, oh,
Hmm.
there was love there. You get to see that. So it feels like very big departure. So that's like the rom-com episode. And then we
Hmm.
go into into 7 and to the arrest. And it's like, it's like his world's just like falling apart. And then 8 for me became like the Hangover part 7, where it was like, it's like, is he going to jail or, what's he gonna do? So he
Yeah.
instead decides to just go out in the town and party
Yeah.
with friends. Yeah.
It's so funny you say that. I literally have here 6 investigations, 7 arrest, 8 fallout.
Yeah.
That's so,
Yeah.
yeah. And also I think I mean, I did want to ask about, I mean, you really bring Detective Lynn into the fold. She really controls a lot of the narrative.
Hmm.
And I like seeing those kind of scenes where she is, um, dealing with these people who all sort of live in the same bubbleless, bubble-ish world, but they all have, completely different reactions to her. And I guess I wanted to know what it was like to kind of expand on that with her, just because it felt so different in terms of someone investigating, a case. I don't know. There's a real,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. There's a
Yeah. Yeah.
buoyancy to it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, we really like Jonathan and I talked about it a lot. Tropper, we really
Hmm.
want to be quirky and weird and sort of like he doesn't fit into this world at all, doesn't understand it, of course, and then it's a little bit of cat and mouse with her, her character and John Hamm's character
Hmm.
that I think is really interesting. So it's like she obviously knows he's up to something and doesn't know exactly what, right? And but I think we wanted them to like they also like her and her partner, like there's a little bit of, dark comedy there, right?
Hmm.
We didn't want to go like procedural with this part of the
Right.
show. We just really wanted to stay focused on the characters. And so that's why I think she feels different maybe than some other shows would do, like a cop in, on the chase
Hmm.
and kind of hunting someone down.
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed that. Maybe even, um, she has like a sort of buoyancy to her, and there's any scene that she has with her partner, there is that kind of. comedy there, but I sort of feel like anytime I see her partner Hernandez alone, I was like, oh, you totally fit into that like
Yeah,
procedural role.
yeah,
But maybe
yeah.
it depends on who you're like you're paired
Mhm.
with or what. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
felt yeah, their relationship. I didn't know like what that was. I felt like I was leaning in a lot. I was like, are they flirting? Are they? I don't know. It was just a
Mhm.
weird. I was very intrigued. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I think we really tried to go weird, you know.
Yeah, I dig
Uh
it. I like
so
weird.
yeah, yeah, and I think you're right. I think Hernandez like would would definitely fit in, and
Mhm.
she would not.
Yeah,
So right.
yeah. So let's talk about episode 6, just because that whole Princeton
Mm,
section, I was just so floored by the chemistry between John Hamm and Amanda Peet is like off the charts. And when I like in that episode how you really showed the difference between a couple that is reuniting. They both know it's like kind of stupid and dangerous and but it's also really exciting and sexy. But then also like right after it, we get to see their daughter having like, I don't know, maybe one of her first awful hookups
right.
with a boy that she doesn't know. I like how we move from one to the other. And I guess I wanted to know balancing that, what was kind of important there, because I dug that too.
Well, I think it's just it's sort of like just approaching it from a place of realness, right? And sort of like never leaning too earnest, but just also
Hmm.
knowing that they're, we're really trying to, as I said earlier, like let the audience get a glimpse at that at what their relationship might have been like, right? And just
Hmm.
from a place of like, the way we shot it, or like the way we framed them, the DP and I were pretty specific about that and just saying, look, we could tip really quickly into something super earnest, but we don't
Hmm.
want to go too far with that. And then I think the juxtaposition with the daughter was like exactly what you said. It's sort of it's one of her probably first experiences or bad experiences with a hookup.
Hmm.
But everybody's going to Princeton to hide from something in a
Yeah.
way. Even the daughter is like hiding from the boyfriend she knows is bad for her that Coop wants her to break up with, and you find that out at the beginning in the car ride. And I also think one of the like one scene that John Hamm, I mean, he's so good in everything, but like the one scene in the car when he's talking about
Hmm.
love, daughter, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I remember filming that, and he was, I felt like water like spring to my eyes as he was saying, his lines in the car. I was like, holy shit, like he just nails it. But yeah, I think it to me it was just it is about everybody trying to hide, get an escape of like what's been happening, in their
Hmm.
lives. And for Mel and Coop to reminisce.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was, I don't know, it really captures that feeling of where it's like, I don't have to be who everyone thinks I am, or they are talking about the things that I have done. I am a stranger to everyone that is here. And I thought that whole like extended section is, it really captures the spirit of that. I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And even Hunter, Donovan, who plays the son, like he's
Hmm.
completely, I think for him, he's gets to go be with his music friends, and so in a way, he's getting to step out of his comfort zone in ways we haven't seen him too.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I like that he really I don't know, there's like a look on his face when his parents are just like, all right, go, this is what I've done for you. And he's like, oh my God, really? I don't know. There's sort of like a spark of excitement for freedom
Yeah.
and trust that he never probably thought his parents were going to give him.
Mhm. Exactly.
Um, Not to jump to episode 8, but and this is probably going to sound like a really silly question, but I legitimately want to know: is there a key to filming a good slap?
It was a
Is there
good
a
slap, right?
it was a good, the thing is about that episode, they keep coming back to it over and over, and I was like, did you see this? Did you see this? It's oddly satisfying despite all the really emotional
Yeah,
circumstances.
yeah.
But
Um,
yeah.
well, I think there's so many keys to it, right? So you hope,
Hmm.
like, obviously, you have something that's written so well, and then it's like how we blocked it, and then just having two actresses who are not afraid to just really go there, and Olivia and Amanda just went for it, I have to say,
Hmm.
and and then I
Yeah.
think the angle we shot it from, like you really like delivers, it's very specific. I remember that day too. It was like we're having one of those crazy rainstorms that we just had in New York about 2 hours ago. And we were like, are we
Yeah.
are we going to get this? We're going to shut down for lightning. And I think that sort of unknowing if we were going to make the day and get to the slap actually added tension to the real
Oh, okay.
just because it's like, we really want to, we're like, we've been prepping, we've been talking, we've been rehearsing it, and it's like, oh, we want to shoot it. And then we made it. So
Imagine if the hard, if you had a hard day, like I need to get to this lap, like just like want to get it out of my system. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. Um, you sort of alluded to the hangoverness of it. I gotta say that something that I love about episode 8 is that really hard cut to them all asleep on the
Yeah.
golf course is so funny. I think that's a really great example of how like editing can really make us laugh, but also editing can kind of I don't want to say remind us of tone, but I mean like it really is I don't know, it's God, I can't think of the right word, but it's I don't know, it was a really great reminder of like showing you the mixture of the comedy and the drama. Yeah.
Well, and I think for me, like we just approached it like what's real in a night out, right? I mean, even like what's like actually that moment of quiet was written into the script because Jonathan's so
Hmm.
good at that, so like we knew it was gonna be still, 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 but go
Hmm.
from something crazy to something quiet.
Yep.
And for me is like directorially, I was like, okay, if you go out. Like we played when they walk into the nightclub, I played little theme song for the boys on the streets of New York, and I was like, it makes a difference, right? So they like
Hmm.
strut club, and then we're like, all right, now we're gonna play
Yeah.
all. And then in the nightclub, we just, I made up a bunch of stupid stuff that night, but we did talk about how each character dances ahead of time, and I was like to Hoon, I was like, I feel like you can do the worm, and he's like, all right, I'll try. And John
Oh my God.
seen this video that really made me laugh and we had talked about it and I was like, I think you have to do something like this, sort of this dance. And I was like, whatever it is, it's just going to be this, thing. And he just popped, and I called action and it was like, oh my God, he just
Oh my
started
God.
this crazy dance. But just approaching that night out of like, okay, what happens in the course of the night? And so it's like you get to the golf course and then at some point I'm like, what wasn't scripted is the guys peeing on the golf course. So I was like, well,
Oh,
they haven't peed all night. So like
yeah.
gotta do that. So
Oh my God.
yeah.
That's funny you say the way they walk into the club because if you when I watched it the first time and when I watched it back, it's just like these three friends, like the sort of, especially at this point in the season, is like the fucked up circumstances that are there. Like Barney, I my body hurt whenever I thought about like the idea of getting to the point of drinking so much that you forget that you're in pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then like the fact that these three guys are out together trying to have a good time, it sort of made me laugh. I was like, this is so fucking absurd. It's
So,
so absurd.
so absurd. And by the way, we did kind of seem where like, Nick punched Coop,
Hmm.
like they were, I mean, all the stuff that was happening prior to that. If you think about like their history as well, it's like the idea that he took his wife and now they're going to go get super mess, just a night of drinking. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Who knew? Your friends and neighbors, the like cuckold comedy of 2025. I don't know. It's just so I don't know. It's so the way they walk into that club is so funny. Every time I think about it, it makes me laugh. And
Yeah, I think they were like, "You're playing music." I'm like, "Yeah, because you're
yeah.
gonna walk. You're gonna walk differently if I give you a theme
Oh
song."
my God, that's so right. Because if you would have had no music there
Yeah,
and they walked in, it was like, I'm sure it would be fine because they're all really
yeah,
good actors, but
yeah, yeah. You
you gotta
feel
feel
like,
it. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, of course. And also I love I'm sure this was also in the script, but the way that it's done so slyly whenever Barney shuffles back into his kitchen and Grace is in there and the way that she just like turns on that light,
Mhm.
it's so funny.
It's so funny. And the coffee cup that she like takes moving further and further away.
Yeah. Yeah. I rewatched it. I was like, I want to lay down just watching you
I
walk
know.
around.
I
Yeah.
felt exhausted for them that night. It was very fun. It was very, very, very fun to direct that, I have to say.
Yeah. I want to talk about the very end of episode 8 just because that montage at the end sort of blew my mind a little bit. It's sort of I've never seen sort of a penultimate episode, especially for a show like this that balances comedy and like real drama so well. before I went into the finale, I was like reaching for the remote. I was like, "Where's the next episode? Where's the next episode?" It was like thrilling to me. And I guess I wanted to know like I don't know if that was in the script. I don't know, like something about the voiceover about like he's running, not I can't read my own horrible handwriting. Not how did this happen to me, but how the fuck did I not see it coming? And that's such a exciting end. And I guess to depart your trilogy, what was that like?
I just really it was scripted, and I
Okay.
just really wanted to leave them in a vulnerable place, right? So like, I mean, obviously Amanda, Mel's her character is upset for many reasons, but for John, I just, I think him running, I remember when we shot that, and he runs really fast, by the way. Like,
It does.
I mean, I keep joking with Jonathan because I'm on season 2 now, and I keep saying, why don't you write in a, soft shoe dance? And he keeps saying, does Ham soft shoe? And I was like, does he not? I don't know.
He could do anything,
I
right?
was like, he does. But when he ran, I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have a hard time, with camera moving fast enough so he doesn't pass us. But he just gives everything in his performance, and I think you see a crack and vulnerability there that I was really looking for. And
Mm,
so intentionally only like three different, it's only three sizes, three different sizes of shots on him, and the way they're edited together is meant to like increase, your feeling and intensity of like
mm,
launching us off into the finale. So, and I think it's a little like he's sweating, but to me, it feels like obviously because he's running a lot,
hmm.
but I feel like he's also a little emotional,
Yeah.
so that's how I wanted to leave it. Like just like with a quiet like ending of like just his feet pounding the pavement when you don't know what else to do.
Mm. Yeah, there's sort of a sense of everything that this man does throughout the whole season. He knows on a certain level that it's like, this is really stupid. I should not be doing this.
Hmm.
And he kind of just keeps getting away with it and having like really great luck, even though he's meeting really horrible people and not horrible people, but people who do really horrible things, getting the shit kicked out of him. And I don't know, I felt that he felt it for the first time there. I felt very alarmed. I felt his alarm like sort of like smacking me out of the TV. It was a really sort of interesting feeling. And I was just like, oh, you get it now, sir. You
Yeah.
understand what you've
Yeah.
done.
And I think it was just the simplicity of that, right? Because I think when he got the shit kicked out of him, even then he was like in denial in the hospital. It was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
oh, who cared? It was almost like brushed off. Like he didn't, even with Barney, like it was like he didn't understand the stakes of that at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Oof.
Um, yeah, that was a fun one to.
Yeah. And it's so simple too. He's just running. I
Mm,
don't know. That's I think a really great example of how the way that it's shot and directed and acted and cut together. It's a really, if you think about it, stripped away from maybe the montage of it, it's a really simple, maybe this might be wrong, but I mean, like it feels like a simple setup of him just running. I don't know, but it's very effective.
well, and I think
Um,
it's like protecting the tone, right? So sometimes if you
mm-hmm,
have absurd stuff in there, let's face it, in eight, there's so much absurd stuff happening. There's a guy they're throwing a champagne cork into a wine bucket and doing cocaine off a tray. And I mean, none of it makes any, it's completely absurd. So that you have to then balance that like with like a moment of quiet to like feel like real life, right? It's like it
yeah,
can't be going all the time. And you're just, I think the thing for us is like we never stretch hard for the drama or hard for the comedy. We're just like, okay, what's real? How do we,
yeah,
like don't play the joke, don't play the like
mm-hmm,
what feels real, and that's really how we protect the tone.
yeah, yeah. Because I think the comedy really comes out in these like little
Hmm.
like jabs. They really sort of like the way that Nick punches Coop. That's how the comedy feels for me. It's just like really
Yeah.
well shot. Yeah.
Yeah, and just this, it's character driven, right? So if the comedy is coming from, if you know the characters, which we really focus on as well,
Mm-hmm.
then there is something absurd, or it's like you said, it's like a jab or whatever it is. It's like it's earned because you're already so invested in the character that you're like, that's ridiculous because you then relate it to your own, the absurdity in your own life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell when something is like being played for a laugh or it feels like it's being forced to be hokey just to be hokey. And that never
Yeah.
the show never does that. Before I have a question about Toe, but I do want to say that something also that I love. about episode 6 is the way that when Sam is in the makeup store, I love that you stay on her so much, on Sam so much, and it doesn't cut away. It cuts away a couple of times to the actress playing Keeley, but I don't know. I like that you really dial into the I felt it all just bubbling up inside of her, and it's like it's funny, but it's also really pointed and really understandably angry, and I just really love how you don't cut away from her a lot in that conversation. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Olivia obviously is so good at that, like rapid fire,
Hmm.
monologue that when I was editing, I was like, I don't like, no offense to Keely, but I just want to stay with Olivia, and that's where Jonathan is
Mm.
great. Another way that he's great as a showrunner is that when I was like, I just don't, I mean, of course I'm going to cover her, but I don't think it's about that. And so when we watched it, we're just like, yeah, yeah, we'll just check in with Keely in a couple of key moments, but honestly, we're going to stay with Olivia the whole time because we needed that moment with her character, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know. There's so much in there about her. She can really land like a punchline for a lot of stuff, but the fact that again doesn't play the comedy because the emotional circumstances are so
Hmm.
intense, that I feel like in that moment you're really sort of like, yeah, I would tell her the same thing. Like
Yeah,
she obviously isn't doing it on purpose, but
yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, and
back
it's
off.
absurd. We're looking at, $100 eye patches for your bags under your eyes and tech neck, and you're just
Yeah.
like, you set it
Well,
in some
the
absurd.
phrase tech neck, my God. I was like, what is that?
I know, I know. But,
um
mm,
congratulations on Toe. I was reading some reviews of it out of Tribeca. And I guess I wanted to know because this is your friends and neighbors is fiction. You have a really incredible knack of what we've been talking about of balancing comedy and pathos. Like you do that really beautifully in like Palm Royale. I'm a big fan of Mammals. That was it. I love that show. Um, the cast of Toe is fantastic. And I guess I just wanted to know sort of true story kind of ness. I don't want to say like how do you make that I almost said how do you make that original? That's not the right phrasing, but I guess you know what I mean? It's just like it's like an underdog story,
yeah.
really, on a certain level. But how do you kind of make a mark on that in that kind of story?
I mean, for me, like I read it and just felt so compelled to
Great
tell
script, yeah.
because I just was like I have this felt like an Aaron Brockovich of our time,
Mm,
without a
that's great.
million without $1 million pay. I was like, there's not going to be a big payout. To her, it's
Hmm.
not a big check. And when I read it, I had Annie Weisman, who created Physical,
Hmm.
she read it. Actually, Jonathan Tropper read it because he's also a producer on the movie, and we all just felt this compulsion to tell this story. And then I knew it was Rose. Like I was working with her at the time, and I was like, it's Rose. And I just Annie rewrote it, in Rose's voice. And so to me, the key to
Hmm.
make it feel different was casting someone like Rose, who completely disappeared in the character. And then, you know, like having a really light touch directing wise. Like I didn't really want to go in there with like in your friends and neighbors, like the camera's a little bit of a wink sometimes,
Hmm.
'cause it's like steady cam and we're moving around and whatever. And with Toe, I really wanted it not to move unless Rose moved it. So it was
Hmm.
sort of a deliberate sense of like, I'm gonna have a very light touch here and nothing will be like too heavy-handed directorially,
Hmm.
hopefully just allow again the characters to come through in a realness, that is always, I think, really important to me.
I don't know if I love that thinking of how maybe the camera might be compelled to move because of maybe the actions or the feelings of the lead character. That's a really cool way of thinking about it. That's really cool.
It was
Okay.
hard to stay to the rule, but we
And you're
did.
just like, oh,
Come
God.
on, move the camera.
Move the camera.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
feel just Virgil was like, so we're breaking the rule today. I'm just like, no, we're
No,
not.
nope,
No.
nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you so much for your time.
Hmm.
I'm a fan, so yeah, just I love the show so much. Movie's great. So thank you so much for your time, and I guess have a good rest of your day.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for
Yeah,
having
of
me.
course. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.